Tips with Tony. Tips with Tony. All about nutrition from your favorite dietitian. Everything you need to digest in your mind. Tips with Tony. Tips with Tony. Making you healthier one bite at a time. With Tony. Woo.
Hello, and welcome to the Tips with Tony podcast. I'm Tony Marinucci, your registered dietitian, helping you get healthy one bite at a time. I'm really excited for you to hear from our very next guest, Meghan Pherrill. She is a yoga and meditation teacher who is going to introduce herself and she's going to share with you who she is, what she does, and why she does what she does. So Meghan, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me, Tony. I'm so excited for this conversation.
You're so welcome. I'm excited as well. People don't know what's in store for them, but we'll tell them in a minute. First, just introduce yourself.
Yeah, so my name is Meghan Farrell. I'm an online and international yoga and meditation teacher. I'm a host of the Balance Your Life podcast, which Tony will be on very soon. And I just launched an online yoga membership. So it's for the modern day lifestyle. You're going to find yoga flows on there, meditations on there, everything from 5 minutes to 20 minutes and everything in between. And that just launched. So this past week it launched. It's $10 USD a month. You get unlimited access to everything. But I'm so excited about that. It's been a long time coming.
That's so great and super helpful. I know a lot of people are kind of stuck at home. Then maybe their gyms are open or not. I'm in New York, and when we're recording this, the gyms are not open, which is really upsetting. But even if they are, I know a lot of people are not feeling 100% comfortable going back into the studio. So I think having something that's online that sounds like it's not super intimidating is a great kind of start, or something that someone can do in the meantime, or even to supplement. Maybe they are going to the gym, but to supplement their workouts or something like that.
Yeah.
So what made you decide to become a yoga and meditation teacher?
So this is a very long story that I'm going to streamline and keep it short for your listeners. But I was first introduced when I was about 15 years old by my mother. I was born with severe asthma. I had obsessive compulsive disorder, depression, and anxiety. I was like a hot mess as a child and teenager. And it never stuck with me. I was in some lady's dingy basement. I was with a bunch of older ladies, and I just didn't get the point. Mm-hmm. And then it wasn't until I was 20 years old. I was coming out of not a bad relationship. It ended amicably, but it wasn't serving me anymore. And I was so tired of the way that my life was going. I was a stress ball all the time. I was miserable with my life. And at the time, I was on some really, really heavy antidepressants and anti-anxiety medication. And my now husband and I started dating, and he had been on the same medication as me before. And he was like, Meghan, you can come off of this. I know you can. It's going to be rough for the first few weeks, but let's do it. I'll be here for you. And I came off, and it was really hard. I'd been on it since I was before 12. Like, I remember going on medication when I was in grade 4. And at the time I was napping all the time. These meds just made me so tired. And so when I came off, I wasn't sleeping anymore, and I was so bored. And I was like, oh my God, what am I supposed to do? Like, how am I going to kill an hour here? And this little voice, and it sounds so, even to say it out loud, I'm like, people are going to be like, what? But literally this little voice was like, try yoga. And I was like, yoga? Like, okay. But I wanted it to be more of a workout. So I had a crappy $10 mat from Walmart that I enrolled. I did a 20-minute power flow, and it kicked my butt. I was like, I could barely get through it. I've always been a smaller person, not in great shape by any means. So it was like, okay, like, I'm going to do this exact video until I can master it. And it was like 3 days a week, turned into 4 days, turned into 5, until I was doing it every day. And my life literally changed 360. I was a completely different person. I wasn't stressed anymore. I noticed this like domino effect. So from starting to just do yoga, physically my body was changing, and mentally I was feeling clearer. I was happier. And I was like, okay, like I want to keep this body that I have going. So now I'm going to start to eat a little better. And then that translationed into me sleeping better. And I was like, I have to share this with the world. Like this changed my life. If there's anybody out there who's even remotely like me, I need to offer this to them. And that's where Balance by Meghan came out. So that is the name that I've given my company. And from there, I do what I do now. So hopefully that was a little streamlined for
Yeah, no, I really love that. And I'd love to unpack that just a little bit and then just kind of, it sounds like yoga for you was your pivot point, right?
Yes.
It was though that place for you that really helped you kind of get out of that dark place. At the same time, you recognize that if you solely had done yoga and not everything else, as well as like focusing on your sleep and eating better and just overall, just, it sounds like you live a balanced lifestyle, which is, I love, because that's what I talk about all the time. And that's really why you were able to really like go from like one place to another place. And I think that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it was. I still see people from even high school days. I've had teachers who have broken down when they've seen me crying. And like Meghan, I became suicidal too at one point. And they were like, we thought you were going to be a statistic in our school. Like, I cannot believe who you are today. And I'm like, it's been yoga.
That is really, really powerful. And I think that anybody that's listening, maybe they're not personally struggling with like depression or suicidal thoughts or OCD or any sort of like mental health disorder, but they probably know someone who is. Mm-hmm. And I think that what you need in those moments, I mean, I'm curious for you, like what helps you? So you said there was like a voice in your head, but I'm sure there was probably other things supporting you at the time. Like, I'm not sure, like, what do you think kind of really led you to that decision besides that voice? Like what could someone who, if they know someone who's struggling with that stuff, like how could they be supportive in that process?
I think for me, it was, even though I had suicidal thoughts and tendencies, at the end, I didn't want to die. I wanted to live a life that I saw other people living, where they were happy, they were traveling, they were doing things that lit them up. And I was like, it was just like somebody had like slapped me in the head and said, like, your life is not meant to be miserable, and it's not meant to be full of depression and sadness. Like, it's meant to be enjoyed. And that, I think, is what woke me up. And it was, I kid you not, Tony, it was like somebody snapped their fingers and I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. Mm-hmm. I stopped my OCD habits and routines, which is, I mean, I went for studies at the University of Toronto because they were like, we don't understand how you were able to stop your habits and your routines. This is not a thing that people with OCD can do. And I was just like, it was hard. I mean, there were times where I was like, I got to check that lock one more time. And my husband at the time, my boyfriend, was incredibly supportive. My family was very supportive too. A lot of the time they didn't really know what to do with me, but they're like, anything you need from us, let us know. Like, we'll be here to help. Mm-hmm. I understand that's not the case for everybody, but if you can find a friend, a neighbor, I had teachers who I could have gone to at the time that would have helped me. Anyone who is just there to say, Meghan, yes, you can do this. I know this sucks right now. You can keep going. Mm-hmm. Find that person to just hold you accountable and be your cheerleader.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's super helpful. Thank you for that. Yeah, because I think I think people needed to hear that, because I know there's been times in my life where you kind of like almost are just like, maybe you lose a little bit of patience for someone who's struggling, right? And you're kind of just like, why can't you just do this? Or why don't you realize? Or like, life is so great. And it's like hard to get people to see what you see. You have to like let them see it on their own. And the only way to do that, it sounds like, is just knowing that like when you're ready, like kind of creating that openness, and that like when you're ready to talk, like, I'm here for you, rather than like judging or trying to tell them to do something different, but more so just being supportive.
Yeah. And it's, for me too, it's like, I have those people in my life right now where I'm like, oh my God, like you you tell me you're miserable. You say you want things to change, but you won't do anything about it. Mm-hmm. There's a difference between having compassion for that person and going, you know what, you do you. If you want to change or follow my example, like here it is. I'm always here to offer you a helping hand, but I'm no longer willing to put myself in that position. I'm no longer to allow that negative energy to pull me down, to be dragged down with you. Mm-hmm. If you want to join us, here's my hand. Come mm-hmm. with me. If not, by all means, like stay as you are, but I'm not going to be there to be dragged down with you.
Right.
That might sound a little harsh, but you got to do it.
No, it's like that tough love.
Yeah.
You know, and just leading by example, you know?
Yeah.
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 Wow. Well, thank you for that. So one thing I wanted to do before we kind of get more into the episode and more about yoga, particularly, we're going to talk more about kind of the benefits to yoga. And I'd love to hear actually about the different types of yoga, like power yoga versus, I don't know, vinyasa or hatha. Like, I just know their names. I kind of know what they are, but I would love for people to understand, because I think that's what happens. I think people try yoga and maybe it's not the right type. Like you said, like I actually really love power yoga because it's more like a workout, versus like, and then sometimes, you know, the other ones serve me. But the point is that I think people don't recognize that there's different types. So it's like they'll try a yoga class and they don't like it, but there's like so many other varieties. So it's like maybe try a different yoga class or a different instructor, all those things. But before we do that, I had a thought, and I love to meditate. I do it every morning, and I usually will do it I'll like look up something on YouTube. But for a while, I was going to like podcasts, like meditation podcasts. And I was like, I would love to like have that on mine. Like, why don't I provide that for people that listen? Like, I know that I encourage them to meditate, but I don't have like a physical resource. So with that said, Meghan so graciously offered to lead us through a 5-minute meditation, just so you guys can get to know what it feels like, what it is. Maybe you're familiar with yoga before, with meditation before, but you've never meditated with Meghan before. So I think it'll be really great. Obviously, if you're driving, please pull over or fast forward this and go back to it later. But yeah, Meghan, I really appreciate this. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm going to get my seat and sit down. I don't know if that's encouraged, but I think it is. So I'm going to get my seat and sit down, and then you take it away.
Perfect.
Okay.
All right. So wherever
I gotta move down. Okay.
So wherever you are, go ahead and just find a nice, comfortable position. You can choose to sit down cross-legged. You can choose to just sit up in a chair. Make sure the spine is nice and long and there's nothing obstructing your breathing. So today I'll be taking you through a metta meditation, also known as a love and kindness meditation. It's a great way to invite more love and compassion into your life so that you can give it out to others. We'll begin just by noticing the breath. Notice how it moves in and out of your body. Not trying to force or change it, just that natural rhythm. Now, in your mind's eye, or you can think of this holographic image in front of you, I would like for you to picture yourself. So picturing every detail about you. And then you can whisper quietly to yourself, or you can just say in your head, may you be happy. May you be healthy. May you be safe. May you live with ease. Next, I'd like for you to picture a loved one. So this can be your significant other. This could be a good friend, maybe a parent, a child, or a pet. Just choose one and picture them in your mind. You can whisper quietly to yourself, or you can say in your head, may you be happy. May you be healthy. May you be safe. And may you live with ease. Next, I would like for you to picture someone in your life who is neutral to you. So this could be someone you see often, but you don't really give them too much thought. Maybe it's a coworker or a store manager. Picture this person in your mind. May you be happy. May you be healthy. May you be safe. May you live with ease. Next, I'd like for you to picture someone in your life who you downright do not like. Maybe this person is a family member, maybe it's a neighbor or a coworker. And if love and compassion is too hard to muster up, try to send them thoughts of appreciation. Picture this person. May you be happy. May you be healthy. May you be safe. May you live with ease. And finally, I would like for you to picture an overview of the world. So all living creatures, the plants, the oceans, all living things. Picture this neographic overview of the world. May all living things be happy. May all living things be healthy. May all living things be safe. And may all living things live with ease. And just go ahead and take a few more deep breaths here. Breathing in love and compassion. And exhale out kindness. A few more deep breaths. And then when it feels right to you, you can blink open the eyelashes, maybe giving a little smile. And there you have it, love and kindness metta meditation.
That was incredible. Thank you so much.
You're
I'm
welcome.
going to write down what that was called. So I'm going to write that we have it inside. Love and kindness meditation. That was amazing.
It's one of my favorite ones to introduce people to because it's one that's practiced all the time by the monks, but right now, how much can our world use some more love and kindness?
Yeah.
And it's like, it's for yourself, it's for others, it's for the world. So it's my favorite to introduce people to.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. It's so crazy, like how often, like we need it so much more than we think we do. Like you don't realize it until you do it.
Yes.
How much you needed it.
Yes. Oh, all the time. It's very rare that I don't do a meditation practice, but when I don't, I'm like such a different person. And I'm like, I should have done my meditation today.
And it's something that I find accumulates. So, excuse me, it's kind of like if you skip a couple workouts, you don't feel it so much.
Right.
But if you take off a whole week, like you're going to feel it. Right. So it's the same thing with meditation. It's like, if you skip it, like you're going to feel something like a little off, but like, if you continue to skip it, then you're really going to feel it. But also it also happens the reverse. Like doing it, they don't realize is helping them kind of build up kind of a resilience to like stress and like being able to look at things in a like brighter or more positive perspective. It's interesting.
Yeah. I tell people at the very, very basic level, at the very least, it's a practice. You're not going to just like do it once and be like, oh God, I got meditation.
Right.
It's a practice, but it's like going to the gym.
Right.
Like you're working those brain muscles. And even though you can't see like, oh, wow, my brain is building neuroplasticity really well today. You are. And that alone should be a reason why somebody takes 5 minutes. That's all you have to do. 5 minutes of meditation can make a world of difference.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, guys, if you're listening to this and this helped you, please screenshot it and share it on your story and like let us know that you feel super zen right now, because I definitely do. All right, awesome. Well, now we can get into the episode. So let's start with kind of basic stuff. Like if you could define yoga, like if you could define it, what is yoga and what are the benefits to why someone might want to consider incorporating it in their lifestyle?
Sure. So for me, the way that I understand yoga is that it falls under these 8 limbs or these 8 pathways. Generally, people like yoga, that exercise you see, that is one part of the 8 limbs of yoga. So what it is how you treat other people in the world. Yoga is how you treat yourself. Yoga can be exercise or movement, what we call our asanas. So those yoga poses that you see. There's breathing, pranayama. There's intro to meditation, so getting into the space of meditation. There's being in meditation. And then there's this connection to the universe, to God, if you will, to all living creatures and all living things. It's this idea that there's not 2 parts. There's not here on earth and then heaven or hell or whatever you want to call it above us. We are living in divinity. We are living divinely. We are the universe. So even if you come to yoga, I always say, like, sometimes people will come to me for yoga as a form of weight loss. I don't care how you get into yoga. I don't care if it's a way to stretch in the morning or if you're looking to lose a few pounds. A good teacher will make it more than just the exercise itself. And you can find teachers, like New York is such a hub for yoga. You can find teachers that will spitball, big words. They will talk about these foreign concepts, and that's great. I get it now that I've been in the yoga world for a bit, but for someone who is new to it, that might be like, wow, what is this person talking about? But it's just this idea of like that meditation we did is like compassion for yourself and for others. Such an easy way to start thinking of yoga. Like when you're doing a yoga pose and you fall out of the pose, like don't judge yourself. Today was one day, maybe you, for whatever reason, there could be a million things why you didn't hit that pose today. It's like, move on. Be kind to yourself. Oh, look, I fell. Okay, move on. So to me, that's like a very brief overview of like what yoga is. It's so much more than what you'll see on a mat. However, if that's why you come to yoga, great. It will expand to more than that. Some really quick benefits of yoga is it will absolutely increase your flexibility and your strength in your body. When I started yoga, I could not touch my toes. And the idea of holding a plank was laughable at best for me. I can now do all those things, but it took some time. It boosts your immune system. It ups your heart rate, which is really good for, heart attacks, preventing heart attacks, preventing strokes, preventing cardiovascular disease. It normally will translate into a overall healthy lifestyle. So like we were talking about before with me, you'll start to eat better. You'll start to sleep better. You'll start to drink more water. Like it just becomes this domino effect of things. It lowers blood sugar. It helps relieve anxiety. It helps relieve stress and depression. It improves your overall quality of life. So people who do yoga and meditation tend to get sick less often. So great with coronavirus right now. And if they do get sick, they tend to recover quicker. It improves your balance. It helps you sleep better. There's so many benefits to yoga, but those are kind of the big ones that I always go to that make people like, who doesn't need to sleep better? A lot of people in the world are like, I could use better sleep. Even if you're like, I don't need to like lower my cholesterol, that doesn't mean anything to you. It's the idea that the whole body is working together. Yoga is breathing, which we could all use better. It sounds ridiculous, but we all could use better breathing techniques. You're using all different parts of the body. So you're doing lateral stretches, you're doing twist, you're doing folds. The body itself is working in all these different ways. You're using your own body strength too. So if you don't have access to a gym or to, weights at home, you can use your body weight and really build muscle that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, these are really great points. I know I've read a lot of studies where if you do yoga, I think it was like a 5 to 6 days a week for an hour, it's equivalent to strength training like 2 to 3 times per week. So we have to be a little bit more committed to it. But the point being is that all those other benefits for like managing your stress and anxiety and helping you sleep better, those are probably going to accelerate your health tremendously.
So much.
But so I love that you talk about like how it can be good for like body weight workouts and stuff like that, because it really does come down to the type of yoga. So I would love for you to kind of share a little bit about the different types of yoga and what is involved in each different type.
Yeah, sure. So as of right now, there are literally, I think last count, there are like 100 types of different yoga, but the big overview ones are, you have power yoga, you have vinyasa flow, which is probably what a lot of people, even if they're like, I don't know that word, that's what they see online, they see on Instagram is like a vinyasa flow style. There's gentle, sometimes called hatha yoga, traditionally gentle yoga. There's yin yoga, which is I'll name them first and then I'll get into what each one is. There's yin yoga. There's restorative yoga. I mean, you could technically throw meditation as a part of yoga in there. Those are the big ones that I know a lot about and that I recommend to people. You can get into like, there's Bikram yoga, which kind of fell apart, but is still a thing. There's Ashtanga yoga, which is like a really hardcore type of yoga. It's not so big here where I live. The States.
Where do you live? Sorry.
That's okay. Yeah. I'm just outside of Toronto in like the suburbs area. I'm in Pickering, but Toronto for those who need like a main hub point.
Cool.
Yeah. So
tell us more about like what is the difference between all of them.
For sure. Yeah. If you're looking for more of a workout, power yoga and a stronger vinyasa flow are probably going to be your favorite. Vinyasa, all that means is moving with the breath. So, as we inhale, we lift the arms up. As we exhale, we fold down. It's consistent movement with the breath. Gentle or hatha yoga is slower. It's a little bit more like you'll do some more stretching. It's really good for somebody who doesn't want to work out. Moving a lot kind of throws them off, but they want to get started on something. Mm-hmm. Or anyone who's coming off of an illness, an injury, gentle yoga is super nice for that. Yin yoga is the one that you hold poses for longer periods of time, generally 3 to 5 minutes. Most of them are seated poses. Like, you're not going to be holding a headstand or like some of these standing poses for 5 minutes, but it really gets down into the fascia, into the ligaments. Yin is like a really great complement for runners or for athletes because it kind of forces them to do the opposite of what they're normally
down too.
Yeah.
The Yin's also restorative. That's the same thing.
So generally, they look very similar. So restorative, you're holding the poses for even longer than that. Sometimes you can hold them up for 20 minutes. Usually with restorative, you have a lot of props, whereas with Yin, you don't. You're kind of allowing gravity in Yin to, make the body go deeper. Yin is something, if you're looking to increase flexibility, that is a great practice. Restorative is more like, I've heard it called like a forced sleep, which I don't love the name of, but you're super relaxed. You have lots of blankets, lots of bolsters and pillows, and you're just holding these poses for longer periods of time. They're really gentle. They're really therapeutic. We're not allowed to use that word in the yoga world, but it is.
Yeah. No, I've taken a restorative class, and I like, would you say they call it something sleep, deep sleep or something?
So there's a yoga nidra, which is a lot of people, you do restorative yoga with a yoga nidra, and yoga nidra is more or less making you go into a trance sleep or that deep sleep. It's often very much accompanied by restorative yoga. I wouldn't be surprised if that's what you're referring to. 40 minutes of yoga nidra is the equivalent, apparently, in studies, to 3 to 4 hours of REM sleep.
Wow. Yeah. No, because I'm thinking about like when I did the restorative class, like it was very relaxing. It was super restorative, like for the word, but also like, I don't think I could have fallen asleep because you're holding the postures for so long. So like, as much as it's like not like crazy intense, it still doesn't like, it's still like slightly uncomfortable-ish. Like so I can't imagine someone falling asleep during that.
Oh, you'd be surprised. Like, I've heard, it's funny for some yoga teachers, if you can get somebody to like fall asleep in a class, you're like, pat yourself on your back. You're like, yeah, I got them so relaxed. But, it's one of those things. So like someone who's like into the gym, into like power yoga or powerlift or weightlifting, I should say, a restorative or a Yin is going to be super challenging for them to do because it's the total opposite of what they're used to.
Yeah.
But it's what the body needs. It's what the mind needs. Cause you're sitting there and you're like, I remember when I first did my first Yin classes, and I was like, I had to do so many classes for my teacher training with a specific teacher. And that was the only class of hers that I could make while I was working corporate. And I was like, I don't want to do Yin. Like, Yin's not for me. And it's like the first 3 classes, I'd be like into a pose and I'd be like, okay, I got to get this grocery shopping. I got to do that at work. And I hated it. I absolutely hated it. And it was like after that 3 class point, I was like, Yin honestly became one of my favorite forms to practice because it's so... It's uncomfortable. You're holding some of these poses that you normally don't hold for 5 minutes, and it makes your brain like, you can really start to see like what comes up for you in the brain and like really be like, that's not true for me. Or, if you're someone, for me, like before yoga and meditation, I was a very negative person on myself. I would have a lot of negative self-talk, and so I would be doing a Yin class and be like, oh my God, I can't believe you got that person's name wrong. Like, how stupid are you? And it would give me a chance to be like, okay, that's not stupid. That happens to a lot of people. I got her name wrong. Like, not the end of the world. Let's move on.
Right.
So that part really became one of my favorite things to do.
I love that. It goes back to what you were saying earlier. It's more about like giving compassion, self-compassion, compassion to others. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, great. So how would you recommend that someone got started with yoga? Maybe they're that strength training person, or in their person that they're like, nope, yoga's not for me. I need something high intensity. I need to be a workout. Like, I need to know that I'm doing something. Yoga feels like a waste of time. So how would you answer someone like that? And then how would you just answer to somebody who just is like, I'm not flexible. Like, I could never do yoga. It's too painful. Like, I don't see myself ever doing that.
For sure. So for the person who's like, not for me. I feel like I'm wasting my time. I'm not here to argue on it and force you to do something you're not willing to do. I would say, okay, let's find a power yoga class or a vinyasa flow class, something that you are used to that kind of gets you excited about it. But you're going to do 5 to 10 minutes at the end of the class of just laying there and being in Shavasana. It's 5 to 10 minutes. What else would you be doing with your time? Scrolling Instagram, going on social media. If you could take that 5 to 10 minutes and do something so incredibly powerful for your body, so you're letting that, even that workout kind of absorb into the body. You're giving the body a little bit of a break to be like, if you were going through the ringer, if you were doing something strenuous, like you're just giving it a few moments to absorb, for that breathing to come back into, natural rhythm. And you're giving your mind just a few moments, 5 to 10 minutes, people, a few moments of quietness, of just like, okay, you pat yourself on the back. I made it through that class. I really enjoyed it. Notice how you're feeling. Like if you're just sitting there and going like, wow, I feel really relaxed here. This feels really nice. Or, I'm not as stressed as I was before. I've had it where, sometimes answers come to me where before I got on the mat, I was like, oh shoot, I don't know what to do about this problem. And I have an answer as I'm laying there in Shavasana.
Yeah.
Start there, right? You're not forcing yourself to do 60 minutes of something that you're like really uncomfortable with, something you really don't want to do. It's 5 to 10 minutes at the end of a class that you'll probably really enjoy because it's right up your alley to just be quiet. So that's what I would say. Don't force yourself to do something totally different. Start with what you're kind of comfortable with. And, at the end of it, a good teacher will keep you in Shavasana for at the very least 5 minutes. That can be the start of your yoga journey.
I love that.
For people who are like, I'm not flexible, it kind of makes me giggle because I'm like, this is why we do yoga. Trying that flexibility. But it's, what? To go into a studio with a bunch of yogis, they're the nicest people you'll ever meet. Normally, people aren't on the mat going like, oh, geez, look what Jenny's doing. Oh, God, I can't believe Bob fell out of that pose. Like, everybody is doing their own thing on their own mat. They don't care what you're doing.
Yeah.
So if you can't touch your toes, again, if you come to one of my classes, there's props. I'll be like, for those of you who can't quite hit your toes today, because maybe tomorrow you do it, but today, place a block underneath your hands. That can be your yoga today. It doesn't have to look like what you see on Instagram. Everybody has different bodies. I always joke, for a yoga teacher, I have the tightest hamstrings you'll ever see on a person. Sometimes I can't always hit my toes. So who cares? You're doing something so good for your body. You're increasing your flexibility by coming to yoga. That is why you're there. If that's the only reason you're like, I want to be able to touch my toes. Okay. So we'll work on getting you to that point. And then from there you can, oh, wow, now I can touch my toes. I want to be able to do this pose, or, I don't want to shake while I'm holding this pose. Everything comes in due time.
Yeah. Love that. And you're not going to get better unless you do it.
Right. And for what's coming up for me is like, Tony, I'm sure you can relate to this. It's like, in this society we live in, people want a quick fix. Like, you're not going to take a magic pill and lose 50 pounds. I mean, you might, and that's probably the least healthiest thing you could ever do. Yoga takes time. You will notice immediate benefits, but touching your toes might not come after one class, but that's why we continue to go back, and you'll notice improvements. Even if it's in your mind, you're like, oh, wow, you know what? I'm more relaxed than I've ever been. Still can't touch my toes, but that's what I'm holding on to, is I'm more relaxed. And then 2 weeks later, you're like, oh, wow, I'm an inch closer to my toes.
Yeah, I love that. It's all about the progress and comparing yourself to you and only you.
Yeah, exactly.
You've mentioned it a couple times about breathing and how good it is for us. So I'm curious if you could teach us, maybe, is there like a better way to breathe? Because I catch myself in the middle of the day just like holding my breath, and I know that's not good. It's like, what can I do differently, or what can someone do differently to just breathe better?
Yeah, first, acknowledge, like you just said, you notice, you're like, oh God, I'm holding my breath. We all do it. Unless you're living as a monk somewhere where, your whole day is, you're being super mindful. We live in a fast-paced world. Notice that you're holding your breath. Oh God, I'm holding my breath. Let it go. And then take a deep breath in through your nose. So people tend to be chest breathers and they tend to be belly breathers. Mm-hmm. We want to do all three. So we want the belly, the ribs, and to get it all the way up into the top of the diaphragm. So for me, I will always say, take a deep breath in through your nose, into the belly, allow it to expand, allow the rib cage to expand, take it all the way up to the chest, the heart space. Exhale, just let it go. Heart space, rib cage, belly. Draw that navel into your spine. Inhale, take a deep breath, belly, rib cage, heart space, expand. Exhale, let it go from the heart space, the rib cage, the belly.
Yeah, that was so helpful. Oh my God, I love this podcast.
Yeah, no. You know what?
It's like, that is so, I can feel such a difference.
It's one of the things I get questions about the most. People are so embarrassed to be like, I remember even being in a class with someone and the teacher going, breathe into your belly and your rib cage. And the person was like, I don't know what you mean. And like, and you could tell they were so embarrassed about it. People tend to even breathe like they expand the belly on the exhale. Like we're so ingrained into, for the longest time, I was like a chronic mouth breather. I could never breathe through my nose. So it's not like, first of all, don't be hard on yourself. I bet you could throw a baseball and hit 5 people that at least 4 of them don't breathe correctly. But if that's the only thing you can do is like recognize, okay, I've been holding my breath, or I'm breathing through the chest, which we tend to do when we're stressed, anxious, in a high hyped state. Breathe into the belly, your rib cage, really even put your hands on it and feel that expansion. And just think of it coming all the way up to the heart space. Mm-hmm. Do that a couple of times. Even if you do it a couple of times and you don't breathe the rest of the day, you're at least being conscious of taking some time to actually take a few moments to breathe right. And then over time, you'll be like, oh, wow, okay, like I am breathing. Now I don't breathe at all through my mouth. I breathe through my nose. Mm-hmm. That was a long time.
And what's like the reason behind that? I think I know, but I would rather hear it from you. Like, what's the benefits to breathing through your nose versus your mouth?
So with your nose, it's just like you're getting more oxygen. It's kind of coming all through the top of the head, the brain. It's coming all the way down. When you're breathing from just the mouth, you tend to just breathe into the chest. Like we're like, it's not a sexy sound for anybody. It's not a sexy space to be in. If you're in that space, usually if you're coming off of a run or a heavy workout, you might be doing that. But you're not really getting that full oxygen into the body, which is what we need. We need a lot of oxygen. When coronavirus hit, one of the respiratory experts came on and said, do deep breathing. Like you need that full expansion of the lungs. That can help prevent bronchitis, pneumonia. When I have a lot of asthma attacks, that is one thing that people will sit with me and go, breathe in through the nose, really get that expansion going in the belly, the ribs, and the heart space, because you're getting a boost of oxygen in, and you're just allowing those lungs to expand to their full capacity. You don't do that when you're breathing through the mouth.
Yeah. And like this, I'm not a therapist, psychologist. This is just a thought. I don't know how true this is, but I think about like someone who's having like an anxiety attack or a panic attack. It's a lot of like, it's a lot of like through the throat, through the mouth. But I feel like just breathing through your nose is so much more calming, and that alone could probably help them a lot to relax in those moments.
It almost instantly takes you out of that fight or flight mentality too. When you start to breathe through the nose, right away the parasympathetic system kicks in and goes, okay, we need to relax here. If you can extend your breath by one breath or two breaths is ideal, but even one extra breath, that really signals the brain to, okay, calm down, slow down, and get you out of that state of panic or fear.
Mm-hmm. Wow. So good. So good. All right, Meghan. Well, I want to be mindful of your time. I would love to wrap up with I would love to learn from you what balance means to you, because I teach with my clients. I feel like healthy is, for everyone is a little bit different. Wellness is a little bit different, and balance even is a little bit different. But at the end of the day, it's easier to adhere to your goals if you have a clear definition of what that means to you. And I would love to hear where Balance by Meghan came from. I know you mentioned it a little bit, but like what that actually looks like for you in your life.
Yeah. So for me, balance just means to live a healthier lifestyle by finding movement every single day, whether that's a walk or a workout. Find some form of movement, drinking lots of water throughout the day, to eat healthy. So for me, I'm not a nutritionalist. I don't have a background in that. I eat as many vegetables as I can. I'm not a huge fruit person, but I make smoothies. So that's my way of like injecting fruit into me. I have a smoothie every single day. I try to cram in as much veggies into each meal that I can. And, even sleeping well comes from that, like really having a good restful sleep. So finding that balance, it's not as hard as you think it is. Don't make it a punishment to like, God, I got to eat healthy today. Like you're fueling your body, you're fueling your brain. That being said, I also never feel guilty if I have pizza for dinner, if I have cake for a celebration. I don't do it daily. I don't even, once a week. So Saturday night tends to be my husband makes fun of me too, because it's like my treat night. But my treat night is like, those like small things of like Ben and Jerry's. I can make that last like 3 weeks in a row because I only have like 1/3 of it.
Because you know that it's allowed. It's because It's not for you. It's not like you don't feel guilty when you have it. And when you put all foods fit on the same playing field, then you don't feel the need to like scarf it down. It's the only time you're going to get it is on Saturday nights. Yeah. But you know that you can have it at any time. That's just when you choose to have it. And so you have it to enjoy it.
Exactly. And I notice now too, like, let's say it's like Christmas time and like I'm having a few extra cookies throughout the week. I don't feel great. Like I will start to be like, yeah, you know what? My stomach is like bothering me. It's like, yeah, because you've had like 4 cookies for 3 days straight or 4 days straight. It's like, okay, I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm going to take a few days and get back to it. So balance is like, do your best daily to eat healthy, to drink healthy, to find movement, get good sleep, but don't feel guilty on celebrations. Don't feel guilty to have a piece of pizza. Don't make it a daily habit. But that way, when you do have it, there's no guilt involved. You can actually enjoy it, and you're not going to ruin that workout you just did. You're not going to ruin, that healthy lifestyle that you lived by having a piece of pizza. It's not going to happen.
Totally. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Meghan. This has been great. So let people know where they can find you, follow you, ask you questions, and definitely how they can sign up for your online membership.
Thank you so much. So across all social media platforms, that was hard to get out. Balance by Meghan, Meghan. Instagram is where I love to hang out. You can find me on there. You can reach out to me, send me a message anytime. You can find my website. So I have my podcast up on there. I have, retreat offerings. Not while coronavirus is going on. Let me be clear about that. But workshops, I know it's been a bummer, but maybe next year. Retreats, workshops, all that good stuff is on my website, www.balancebymegan.com. And if you go there, you will see a link for the membership. So you can read a little bit more about it from there, and then you can click to join the membership right from there.
Perfect. Thanks so much. So I'll put those in the show notes so people can definitely just click and follow. Any last minute comments or anything that you feel like the listeners need to know?
Honestly, the one thing I would say to people is just start. There's never going to be a right time or the perfect time, perfect date to start yoga, to start eating healthy, to start meditation. Just practice. Even if you fumble at first, or just start. Even if you fumble at first, just start. It can be 10 minutes. It can be 5. It can be an hour if you want. Start and go from there.
Yeah. Love that. Great advice. Great advice. All right, guys. If you're not already following Meghan, definitely go follow her. If you're not already subscribed to the Tips with Tony podcast, definitely subscribe. A new episode comes out every Monday and every Wednesday. And when you're subscribed, you don't miss a beat. As always, I'm Tony Marinucci, your registered dietitian, helping you get healthy one bite at a time.